Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Victoria's Secret tossing morbidly obese and trans models to the curb after their sales tanked by nearly $1 billion, now going back to the roots and hiring attractive models. Who would have thought deviating so much for your core competency and your core customer would basically kneecap the company and detrimentally destroy it? Now, this is thanks to a New York Post article. They noted that the brand had recently tried to be more inclusive, and they even hired LGBT pro-woman soccer player and leftist activist Megan Rapinoe. As someone for the brand, that can't be right. They really hired that soccer player, Megan Rapinoe. Oh, this will be an example of, thank God you actually can't see the things that I'm trying to show you. Let me know if you do have the software, because I'm trying to find one that will work so I can do the picture-in-picture, so that way you can watch the videos when I play them. And I tried a couple, keep having some issues. So unfortunately, I'm going to actually check. Oh, dear God. They did. They did. So Megan Rapinoe, which again, do not search on your phone for your images, your eyes. I'm not saying your eyes will melt out like the last part of Indiana Jones where they open the Ark of the Covenant and their eyes and faces melt. I'm not saying it's 100% guarantee that it'll happen. I'm saying it's not a 0% chance that could happen. Granted, you also might want that to happen after seeing Megan Rapinoe model for Victoria's Secret. Dear God. Now, that wasn't even the craziest transgression. They also had hired morbidly obese models as well as trans models. So biological men who are transitioning to women displaying women clothing or women undergarments. Which, again, I'm not saying everyone shouldn't have underwear. So I was going to say, depending on who they are, I would wish they have a copious amount of underwear. Even perhaps what they use for covers, the big blankets they use to cover Humvees in Afghanistan when we go over there, that very well might be an appropriate garment for some people. But again, it's all about a business core competency. What are you great at? What is your customer? That's the most important thing in business. Know your customer. Doesn't matter if you make widgets, watches, guns, cars, staplers. Know who's buying your product and cater to them. Now, it looks like, according to the fiscals of how they shot themselves in the foot, their brand projected revenue, let's see here, looks like the projected revenue is $6.2 billion for 2023, 5% lower than last year, and even lower than 2020, when the revenue was $7.5 billion. That's quite a big drop. And of course, they hired Megan Rapinoe, who, again, it's one of those ridiculous cultural phenomenons and business phenomenons, very similar to Disney hiring, what is that insufferable girl, the Snow White actress, or attempted actress? Oh, what is her? She's the definition of insufferable. Oh, Disney. Now, what is that? Disney, Snow. Rachel Zegler. How dumb is a company to hire a person who hates the company that's hiring them? That's what Disney did with that, and she lambasted the movie she's going to be in every time she is in front of a camera. Which, again, if you're a consumer, why would you see the movie if the main person in the movie is saying it's terrible? They're saying the original artwork is terrible, the original work is terrible. The same thing happened here with Megan Rapinoe, which, again, it's Victoria's Secret in terms of marketing. Husbands are supposed to see that and go, hey, that would look great on my wife. I'm going to go buy that for her. Or a wife wants to impress her husband. She goes there, or a boyfriend, she goes there, she buys a product, she visualizes herself with the product, he visualizes his wife wearing the product. No one wants, I can't fathom who wants to see Megan Rapinoe. How many sales did that inspire? Again, I'm not saying it's zero. Well, actually, their sales went down by a couple billion, so negative. So actually, yeah, it is worse than zero. Now, it looks like, just like Rachel Zegler with roasting her own employer, Disney, Megan Rapinoe did the same thing, lambasting and roasting Victoria's Secret. Now, it looks like Megan Rapinoe called out the brand before they did their revamp and claiming that it was really harmful and sexist. Oh, geez Louise. She said, quote, patriarchal, sexist, viewing not just what they meant to be sexy, but what the clothes were trying to accomplish through the male lens and through what men desired, unquote. And she continued to, I was going to say, speech is perhaps too advanced of a term for her. She attempted to continue to speak by saying, quote, and it was very much marketed toward younger women, unquote. Which, again, look at who's buying your product. Yeah, no duh. So she was lambasting the company, critiquing the company, and of course they did this whole revamp, and they hired all these attempted models. Well, like, no, I guess they were technically successful. And it looks like their brand president, Greg Eunice, even said very proudly, sexiness can be inclusive, unquote. And he, of course, this gets even more ridiculous. He says, quote, sexiness can celebrate the diverse experiences of our customers, and that's what we're focused on, unquote. No. Ridiculous. For decades, you've been known as the premium brand. People spend more money for your product to look beautiful. You're going for a niche market. Not everyone is beautiful. I hate the fact that you have to remind everyone that not everyone deserves a trophy. I know Americans have been programmed to think they all deserve a trophy just for showing up these days. Or more realistically, just waking up in the morning. They don't even show up. But they're very successful. The original founder of the company revamped it. They really found their niche in the market. I mean, if it comes to mass appeal, and I mean that, pun intended for larger people, but there's nothing wrong with that model, but that's a different brand. It's the same reason you're not going to have a Cadillac cost $20,000. But they lose money because, again, they're a premium brand. They put better material. In theory, they put better materials in it. Well, I would say they do for the Cadillac CTS-V, where they actually have a stick shift, because those are pretty awesome. It's very exhilarating to drive that vehicle, to be honest. But again, Victoria's Secret was trying to go from a niche market to the whole market. Which, if you're going after the whole market, you're inherently, with that business model, you're alienating your very first incumbent customer. I mean, the parallels between this and Disney are ridiculously clear, to say the least. And again, it's one of those things where they're very successful at that. And I can't fathom how many customers do they turn away because of this business blunder of the century. Perhaps this would be more appropriate for the end of the show, where we talk about the business blunder of the day. Seemingly there are so many that we could probably make the whole show about that. But again, most important thing in business is know your audience. Know your customer. Know your prospective customer. And in this case, seems like they knew all that, and they just said, in spite of it, we're just going to do what the peer pressures want us to do. We're not going to say, no, we've been a niche company for decades. We're making a profit, make a premium undergarments for folks. But no, they wanted to go for the mass audience, and the mass audience, everyone said no. Very similar to everyone's, kind of like the Lizzo phenomenon, where everyone says Lizzo is beautiful. Which, again, I dare you to tell a woman that, because it's one of those lies that we were told as a society. So, again, if you want to make underwear for everyone, including big gals, trans, if you want to do that, make a new business for that. Make a new brand. The power of a brand lasts decades, but can be destroyed in seconds. So let me know in the comments. Fiscally speaking, they lost, but how bad do you think it will get? Do you think anyone will return to the brand after this? I'm surprised they didn't slash prices at the same time and try to sell for $1.99. Just throw out the whole kit and caboodle. Now, looks like Chief Executive Martin Walters also later admitted that the inclusivity initiatives were not profitable for the company, saying, quote, despite everyone's best endeavors, it's not been enough to carry the day. Now, it looks like the company's new goal is to improve profitability and cross over $7 billion in annual sales. Now, they also claim to meet that objective. They're going to roll out activewear and swimwear, updating their existing stores and open up 400 new ones in the United States. Now, again, those are good business ideas because, again, the fact that they didn't invent Lululemon or whatever the heck they call those little skin-tight pant thingamajigs, the leggings, the fact Victoria's Secret didn't invent that is a business blunder in and of itself. They need some innovation. But again, stick to your core customer. Know what they want. And in doing so, they will reward you with more and more business, and your brand will increase in value over time. With such a big kneecapping on the company, I don't know how this is going to bounce back. And interestingly enough, there are some comments, thankfully, on this, and I can't help but wonder, there might be 2 or 3 people who are very disappointed in this, but I can't help but think most of them will think thinking, yeah, probably time best to do the most profitable thing. So, without further ado, let's dive into the comments. I don't want to say this person gets like a kudos of the day, but it is it is pretty good. There's a niche in the market for juvenile humor. This person's name is Hugh, huge, and last name is Janus, Janus. Appropriately funny. This person says, quote, I remember when the plus size section was located in the department stores by the luggage and freight elevator. It's fine to bring it in to maintain level, but it doesn't need to be showcased display at the main entrance. Person got 128 likes. And someone by the name of Fortress America replied saying, quote, by the freight elevator, unquote, too funny, getting 62 likes. Which again, we could also argue the cultural detriment of a society that rewards people for being morbidly obese and unhealthy, because statistically speaking, that is the number one most preventable thing, cause of death in the United States. Which, again, there are many variables, including what they put in the food these days, what people are consuming, their active lifestyle or lack thereof. There are many variables to that, but a cultural thing and a moral thing we could ask ourselves is it good for a company to glorify those acts, to glorify that health style? Which, again, if you look at the number of detrimental health styles for being bigger than smaller, the bigger has much bigger health problems, pun mildly intended. Someone by the name of AJ4 Value said, quote, body positive is just another way of celebrating being overweight. Obesity is the largest, pun intended, and most expensive issue for U.S. medical system. We need to come to the aid of people dealing with weight issues, not celebrate the problem. Being fit is sexy. Focus on fit, not fat, unquote. This person's got 64 likes, which I think is a good point as well. And they actually did say pun intended in the little commas. They knew what they were going for. Which, again, another great example of how men and women are different. Women thrive under words of positive affirmation. Most of them really appreciate it, and the best way to motivate many of them, not all, calm down, but tell them they are doing great in the gym if they are, and encourage them to be healthier. We have decayed to a culture of mediocrity and just saying, oh yeah, everyone's good just the way they are. Where I say, absolutely not. Everyone could always be better. Of course, especially including myself. I think everyone should always exercise daily, read a book daily, try to improve some skill set every single day. And in the aggregate, over time, you'll see some fantastic, phenomenal results. And one of the most disgusting excuses I always hear, which drives me up a wall, is when people complain and they say, I don't have time. Which is ridiculous. If I could work over 100 hours a week and I could find time to work out, everyone in America can. Literally everyone. But nevertheless, back to the comments. Someone by the name of Eat Fast Eat Reply saying, quote, despite everyone's best endeavors, it's not been enough to carry the day. They tried wokeness and it didn't work. A market lesson for others, unquote. Person got 195 likes. Mickey from the Bronx says, quote, amazing how these businesses pay big bucks to come up with these ridiculous woke marketing campaigns. The average consumer could have told them it was a bad idea, unquote. That got 93 likes. Now, interestingly enough, in terms of this being a cultural and somewhat a political issue, I don't know, the average person may think it's a good idea. I mean, you gotta remember, the average person, they're okay with mediocrity. They're okay with just, the status quo. They don't want to push themselves to the limit, I would say, in most cases. So that's perhaps the even more concerning thing is what's the percentage of Americans who think it's a good thing. Let's see. Let's do one or two more comments here. Freedom Rings. Say A+ for their little profile name there. They say, quote, Wall Street and corporate America keep listening to the woke children instead of paying attention to adults, unquote. The person got 51 likes. Now, that being said, when it comes to the ideology of woke and that being a political issue, it's not just children, it's multi-trillion-dollar investment funds. So they're not just doing this for one reason alone. It's not a single variable analysis in terms of that regard. The largest holding companies in the world are overwhelmingly ideologically more on the left side of the political spectrum. And depending if your business needs funding or big banking, there are a lot of pressures on businesses these days. Let's see here. A couple more comments. Let's see here. You do have some pejorative. So MK says, quote, selling one size fits all inclusive potato sacks works well. If you're towing the party line, in the former Soviet Union, unquote, getting 20 likes. Let's see here. Nathan Smith said, quote, Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. hater, is the worst possible spokesperson ever. Well, maybe Adolf will pull worse. That's about it. She got Subway canned and Subway sold all of her appearance. Unquote. Got 55 likes. So needless to say, when it comes to the like ratio, or in this case the comment ratio as well, looks like Victoria's Secret was officially, as the youth might say, ratioed. Let me know in the comments, would you ever buy Victoria's Secret again? Do you think, very similar to Bud Light, will there be a boycott necessarily? In this case, perhaps the heavier people might boycott the company. It'll be interesting to see what the future holds for them, but as I always say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you could click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, any feedback, even if it's harsh or critical, it's greatly appreciated. Throw it in the comments. That way I know how I can improve the show, make it better and better. Lastly, if you like the video, it also helps me know if the video is doing better or not. Or you can always put a downvote and then I'll know maybe I need to work on the video. Although if you don't comment, I'm not going to know how to actually improve it. So I'll be interested to see what the feedback is from this video. I appreciate it nevertheless. Also, and lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.